Can you believe Thor has 7 hammers? Yes, we're going to cover them all, or rather, the remaining 4. For the hammers we discussed in the first video, click this link. Or if you want, here's a quick recap, because there are viewers watching this for the first time, and I need to start them off in the right place. In part 1, we started with Thor's first weapon, Jarnbjorn. This axe, used during the Viking era, its name means Iron Bear, could even cut through celestial armor. Low-key, it was way too strong for a starter weapon. Then we got to the weapon most identified with Thor, Mjolnir. Odin's "You're too arrogant, my son," sending Thor into exile, the "Whosoever is worthy shall lift" enchantment, Cap lifting the hammer in Endgame, the theaters went wild. But Hela broke it with one hand. One hand. And finally, we covered Stormbreaker, the scene where Thor stands in the middle of a star while Groot sacrifices his arm. I nearly cried. Did I make you cry? And if you remember the end of part 1, I left Jane Foster's story halfway. Mjolnir's pieces are on display in New Asgard, Jane is fighting cancer, she touches the hammer, and that's exactly where we pick up. Here we go. Mjolnir returns. Jane Foster's story. One of the least effectively executed events in Marvel's cinematic universe. I'll explain why. This section is one of the most emotional in Marvel history. Ready? In the comics, when Jason Aaron wrote this in 2014, the internet went wild. Thor can no longer lift Mjolnir. A period of depression begins. Everyone tries to reach the shattered pieces on the moon, but no one can lift them, until someone does. And that someone is Jane Foster, Thor's former lover, a doctor undergoing cancer treatment. Peak anyone can be a hero energy. But here's the tragedy. When Jane lifts Mjolnir, she becomes empowered, feels healthy, becomes Thor. But when she sets it down, the cancer returns. Worse, each transformation flushes her chemo treatment from her body, meaning every time she gets stronger, she steps closer to death. Literally, being a hero is killing her, but she chooses it anyway. In the MCU, Thor: Love and Thunder tells the same story. Natalie Portman returned, Jane has stage 4 cancer. Mjolnir's pieces are displayed in a New Asgard tourist museum. Imagine, the world's most powerful weapon as an exhibit. When Jane touches the pieces, Mjolnir reassembles, calling her. Because Thor once told Mjolnir, "Always protect Jane." The spell is still active. Peak romantic gesture energy. At the film's climax, Jane transforms into Thor one last time to fight Gore. Her cancer is now terminal, and she knows it. But she chooses this to save Thor. She destroys Mjolnir, shatters Gore's weapon, and returns to human form, dying in Thor's arms. In the post-credit scene, she reaches Valhalla, greeted by Heimdall. The theaters were silent, truly. Do you think Jane's story ends in the MCU? Or will she return from Valhalla? Comment below. I'm curious. Let's move on to the next hammer. Thunderstrike, the surprise hero of the Adventures of Thor series. Now we arrive at a character most of you haven't heard of. But when you do, you'll wonder, why isn't this more popular? Eric Masterson. Who is he? An architect. Ordinary, divorced, caring for his son in New York. Marvel's experiment. Look, an ordinary person can be Thor, and this experiment is both tragic and brilliant. Quick backstory. Eric is seriously injured multiple times while assisting Thor. Odin wonders, how do we save him? And finds a solution, merging Eric with Thor, a human living inside a god. He didn't want to be a superhero, but he did his best. When Thor is sent into exile, Odin tells Eric, "You are Thor now." A bit heavy on the fatherly energy. Eric carries Mjolnir for a while, fights the Avengers, battles during the Infinity Gauntlet crisis. But then Thor returns and reclaims Mjolnir. What happens to Eric? Enter Thunderstrike. Odin commissions a magical mace specifically for Eric, made of Uru metal, crafted by the same dwarves who made Mjolnir. Its name, Thunderstrike. Inscribed with, "The world still needs heroes." Marvel's most beautiful reward for Eric. The mace's powers? Very similar to Mjolnir. Flight, lightning, interdimensional travel. But one difference, it transforms into a staff when struck, and Eric returns to human form. Think Tony Stark taking off the armor, but much more dramatic. But the tragedy doesn't end there. This part reads like a movie script. Eric discovers that his girlfriend Jackie is actually the villain Bloodaxe. To protect her, he carries Bloodaxe personally, but the weapon possesses him. He destroys the Avengers, fights Thor, and at the last moment regains control, redirecting the weapon's power to destroy both Bloodaxe and himself. He dies in the explosion. The inscription, "The world still needs heroes" gains an entirely new meaning combined with Eric's story. The first time I read that scene, I'll admit my nose tingled. Thunderstrike hasn't appeared in the MCU yet, but if he does, oh boy. The true owner of Stormbreaker, Beta Ray Bill. Wait a minute, I talked about Stormbreaker in part 1, but I left something out. In the comics, Stormbreaker is not actually Thor's hammer. The true owner, Beta Ray Bill. Who is he? An alien of the Corbinite race, horse-headed in appearance, and he could lift Mjolnir. Odin was shocked. This weapon only responds to the worthy. Even Thor was surprised. Then Bill fought Thor and won. An alien defeated Thor in open combat. Odin said, "Okay, you're worthy too," and commissioned a special hammer for Bill, Stormbreaker. Mjolnir's sibling. Same power, different wielder. Some comic readers even argue Stormbreaker is stronger than Mjolnir. In the MCU, Beta Ray Bill made a surprise appearance in Thor Ragnarok as a statue on the wall of the Grand Master's arena. Just an Easter egg, but fans went wild. A full MCU debut seems imminent. Would you watch a solo film for him? I'd be first in line on opening night. War Thor, the hammer rage lifted. Are you ready? Because this story is about a character you know transforming into someone completely unrecognizable. And what triggers that transformation isn't a thirst for power or ambition, just pure, unbreakable rage. Volstagg, one of Thor's oldest companions, the warm-hearted, barrel-chested warrior of the Warriors 3. To those who knew him, that name meant laughter. It meant warmth. But Jason Aaron destroys all of that in a single scene. Malekith launches a fire demon army assault on a light elf refugee camp in Nidavellir. Innocent lives are lost, including children Volstagg had sworn to protect. Heroes save the children. At least, that's how it goes in comic books. Not this time. That grief drives Volstagg toward an ownerless Mjolnir that had fallen from the Ultimate Universe. And the moment he lifts it, War Thor is born. But this isn't just any Mjolnir. This hammer had witnessed the death of its own Thor, the total annihilation of its own universe. It was an object that had converted survivors' guilt into rage, a weapon screaming a battle cry. When Volstagg's fractured state of mind merged with that fury, what emerged was a destructive force not so different from the very enemies he sought to destroy. War Thor marched straight to Muspelheim for revenge. The one who stopped him? Jane Foster. Two Thors fighting each other. In the end, Jane revealed her human face, and that was enough to pull Volstagg back from the edge. Marvel is saying something very clear here. Even the best intentions can become dangerous in the wrong state of mind. The War Thor story is one of the most striking examples of how a hammer can shape, or melt, the person who holds it. In the MCU, Volstagg was portrayed by Ray Stevenson, who sadly is no longer with us. So seeing War Thor on the big screen now feels like a much more distant possibility. But the story? It deserves to be read.